from around the world. He's Arise news analyst, Emmanuel, graduate of the University of Calabar, great Malabite, Ifeni, the great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben.
Mr. Ifeni is also
For the benefit of people who don't know what it means to be a great Malabite.
So,
good morning, Rufai.
You know him as a great man. Me, I know him as my DMD.
Well, Ruben, you seem to be in your elements this morning. Encouraging people to take loan to marry a second wife. I hope people are not listening to you. But we'll start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story. In medicine after political death, Ayu steps aside. Damagum takes over. Yes. Igorov Ward ESCO insists signatures to suspension order forged. PDP nominates Saraki orders into ad hoc committee to conduct global primaries for Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa. Ex-chairman's reign has ended in our party, Wiki declares. He was behaving like a headmaster, George recalls. Nnamani says he was an evil that before the opposition. Yes, Iyorchia Ayu, Dr. Iyorchia Ayu, yesterday stepped aside. Of course, the party, the PDP, according to Debo Ologunagba, who addressed the press before the acting chairman took over yesterday, said to fulfill all righteousness, to use his own words, obeying the court order that asked Iyorchia Ayu to stop parading himself as the chairman of PDP. And of course, the PDP has done the needful. Ayu has stepped aside, and of course, Damagum has taken over, Ambassador Damagum, who was until yesterday the deputy national chairman, North. Of course, in accordance with the constitution of the PDP, the deputy chairman from the zone where the chairman is from will take over in the event that the chairman steps aside or is unavailable. In this case, of course, the other deputy chairman south is Taufik Arakpaja. Yes, that's his name, who is from the southwest, the deputy chairman south. Now, our other papers are reporting this story to give us the direction where this old brouhaha is heading. The Punch newspaper, suspension, Ayu heads for court as PDP appoints acting chair. Ayu wants court to overturn suspension, Damagum to run party pending judgment. PDP recorded worst electoral outing under Ayu, embattled chair weak, gone for good, the G5 governors are saying. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper reporting this story, PDP, Atiku, Wike camps clash over Ayu's sack. Damagum takes over as acting chairman, is gone, Rivers governor. Is suspension wrong? Insists Atiku campaign council. Yes, and of course, Nigerian Tribune newspaper reporting the story. PDP crisis. Ayu out? Damagum in, Wike celebrates. National Working Committee set to review suspension of Shema, Ayim, Fayoshe, others. Meets today. Autumn withdraws case from tribunal, begs for forgiveness. Yes, the governor of Benue State. Autumn there begging his people that wherever he has wronged anybody, he should be forgiven. But is at the verge of also withdrawing his petition to the tribunal, election tribunal, where he's challenging his defeat in that senatorial election. Now, for the PDP, is this the time to move forward? But with Ayu still going to the court to challenge his suspension, then we may just have not heard the last of this matter, because according to Ayu's camp, the so-called executive, according to them, that suspended him are not the real executive. Signatures, according to Ayu's camp, was forged. And so, come April 17, we expect Ayu and his lawyers to be in court to challenge this ex parte order granted by the by the Makurdi High Court. Now, if we look at other stories quickly, New Telegraph newspaper, CSOs to INEC justify 400 billion naira spent on general election. Asks why results weren't uploaded to IREV. 6 special courts for electoral offenses urge EFCC to probe those involved in vote buying. Others, yes, the civil society organizations taking stock of what transpired in the 2023 general elections. Of course, they are saying the 400 billion INEC spent, it has to justify, and of course, making recommendations. The much talked about Electoral Offenses Commission Tribunal still very much in the front burner, because if people perpetrate malfeasance on election day and get away without any consequence, then next time around, same people and others will be encouraged to do likewise. Now, the front page of course, the front page of New Telegraph, you see Orji Uzor Kalu with President Muhammadu Buhari. Yes, Orji taking his campaign to become Senate President to Aso Villa. He needs the presidential blessing. But, of course, the party, the APC, has to do the zoning before he can even be sure whether he's in the race or not. Now, if we look at the Guardian newspaper, subsidy removal plan raises anxiety as Labour breaks ranks. Labour not aware of palliative talks on subsidy. Pengasin, okay, subsidy removal, NLC resists deadline. Don't impoverish masses. ASCSN charges new government. Palliative committee yet to harmonize positions 1 year after. Ngige, incoming administration to propose pay rise, bear palliative burden. Yes, the incoming president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yes, come June 1, a decision has to be taken. Subsidy will be removed. Will that be the decision of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his cabinet or kitchen cabinet? Because I'm not sure by that day they will have announced a full cabinet. Now, will he decide to kick the can down the road to give himself some breathing space? Because you come in as president and your first action to remove subsidy with all the pains and travails that go with subsidy removal. Of course, there are gains, but the gains will take time to show. So it's a decision. Bola Ahmed Tinubu must be racking his brain around himself and his team. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper talking about another strike that is off. Strike over cash crunch. Labour subpedals to monitor Naira supply for 2 weeks. I think it's the rational thing to do, because since there's some improvement in the cash circulation in the country, to order a strike on a day like this would have halted the whole process, because the banks will have to shut down as a result of strike. But Labour has given 2 weeks for full normalization of the Naira situation. Otherwise, Joe Ajaero will lead Labour on a strike, general strike as it were. Now, if we look at the Nation newspaper, the lead story, Buhari, Tinubu well placed to perform as president. President leads torrents of encomiums for president-elect at 71. Prayers to hold in Lagos. Yes, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is 71 today. That's what the record states. And, of course, unlike in previous years when there used to be colloquium, today, has been declared a day of prayer for Tinubu, for the country. He hopes to lead from May 29. That prayer, of course, I know right now some people are gathered in Alausa, the capital of Lagos State, for, of course, where the Secretariat is, the Lagos State Secretariat, for celebration. Of course, prayer being the celebration. But that does not mean there will be no jollofing and pepper souping. Ruben, to use your familiar. Yes, you pray, then you eat. Of course, because I'm sure the many supporters of Asiwaju Metum who are used to eating jollof rice and pepper soup on a day like this will not want to believe that prayer has cancelled jollofing and pepper souping. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, Abuja Kaduna train, 1 year after attack, full services yet to resume. How security operatives averted another attack. Train lacks central lock, poses new security risk. Sources saying deploy more technology. Victims are urging the government and the railway authorities. The foreign newspapers quickly. Financial Times, hunt to provide fresh cash to pay deal, but teachers' row intensifies. Yes, to pay for the NHS. Now, but the new cash injection, according to the report, will have no impact on the frontline services or the quality of care as a result of this offer that is being made. Now, the Jerusalem Post is reporting, yes, that no plan for Netanyahu to visit Washington for now, U.S. officials are saying. Of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, enmeshed in his judiciary overhaul moves, and the people are saying no to that kind of premiership. Ruben and Rufai.
I mean, but the truth has to be said. Despite all the the protests going on, he still was in London over the weekend. So he went to talk to Rishi Sunak and all of that.
London is not Washington.
But as far as I'm concerned, there are a lot of contending sides, and like I said before, we know what all of this is about, the bill. But I think the president of Israel, Herzog, will be trying to, get both parties to be able to at least talk. He needs to make some concessions, and some of the concessions will be, I think they're probably working about how to pull out the clause in the bill that talks about the fact that the Knesset can overturn the Supreme Court ruling on any issue with a majority. So I think if they can reach a middle ground, then things should be pretty much sorted. But real quickly, I feel very sad this morning, and yesterday I took out time on my Twitter page to pay tribute to Dr. Chinelo, because I actually know Dr. Chinelo's father, and it is quite very sad what happened. And I feel that we should have a lot of empathy for one another in the country. While Dr. Chinelo tweeted that she was shot, some people mocked her on social media. And 1 year after, I just hope those people can truly live with their conscience. But the sad reality by that Daily Trust reporter is the fact that 1 year after, all these things we complained about that led to that attack in the first place, no central lock. How can you have a train in modern times with no central lock? And the other things have not been done till date. So it just shows that 1 year after, we have not learned anything. And that's the story of Nigeria. And that's why when people say we pray Nigeria doesn't happen to you, they're saying we pray incompetence doesn't happen to you. They're saying we pray shambolic activities doesn't happen to you. They're saying we pray lack of accepting responsibility doesn't happen to you, because we've not learned anything from that train incident. And the sad reality is, I hope it doesn't happen again, but it might likely happen again.
Two quick issues. Not too long ago, we talked about the heritage of slavery here on this program, when Laura Trevelyan, the BBC anchor, said she was retiring to pay attention more to addressing the heritage of slavery, what her family did, prominent aristocratic British family did in Grenada and the Caribbean generally during the season of slavery. But now we have the Scott Trust, owners of the Guardian newspaper of the United Kingdom, saying today that they are going also in that direction to ensure restorative justice, because the founder of the Guardian newspaper of the UK in 1821 had interest in cotton plantations during this transatlantic slave trade. So we seem to be making progress with the call for reparation, which was championed in our own environment in those days by Bashorun MKO Abiola. So it's interesting to see that there are, certain movements in that direction by even persons who came from that heritage. Finally, quickly, yesterday I had mentioned Scotland. The Scottish National Party, they had their own, their new leader in the person of Umsa Yusuf, 37 years old, ethnic minority. Do you know one of the first things that Umsa Yusuf did? Because yesterday I was saying, one of his challenges is to mend divisions within the party. Kate Forbes, his number one rival, who is finance secretary. He just said, Kate Forbes, we can work together. You will now be secretary in charge of rural affairs. But of course, Kate Forbes and her supporters rejected that. They considered it an insult. Kate Forbes, having argued repeatedly that she considers Yusuf a mediocre. And she says no, she would rather go back to parliament and be a backbencher. So in the Scottish National Party, we're going to find a lot of infighting going forward. But Yumsa is there now as leader of the Scottish National Party and the First Minister of the Republic of Ireland. It's not only in Nigeria that they demote people.
Of Scotland.
It's not only in Nigeria, even in Scotland. They demote political rivals, even when they call for government of national unity.